Squaddy are back on Behind the Gloves with another interview. Eddie, 10-ounce gloves, no head guard.
Someone's getting knocked out.
No, is someone going to get knocked out?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that someone should have got knocked out last time, but
They got knocked down.
Gibbs pretty wild. Jake Paul's like technically much better, but Gibbs like a dog. And I just said on Sky, there's no point analysing these fights because they're so far out of their comfort zones. Everything that they've worked on, how do you know they can even execute that? Like they're not. Well, say they're not athletes. They're in shape, but they're not fighters. They're not pro fighters. So what's so entertaining is watching these guys completely out of their comfort zones. So we'll see what happens.
Saying that obviously they're not fully pro athletes. They've spent their time. It's not like they're going to win a major title or anything.
I don't think so. No. And I said, it would be quite nice to find one of these guys. Like the reason that I'm okay with it is they're respecting a code. So when you've got Shane Mosley up there going, this guy has worked harder than a lot of pro fighters I've seen in this camp. Like they've come in shape, they've prepared, they've worked on the fundamentals as much as they can, but they're not very good.
Well, what I was saying is we never thought this would happen, like they'd be in such a big card. Is there any possibility there could be like a reward for the YouTubers? And I know it sounds crazy, but like a YouTube belt maybe or something?
Yeah, I think that's highly cheesy and corny. I mean, it's pretty
they're competing in it.
Yeah, but it's pretty cheesy and corny what we're doing anyway. So let's not go over the top. At the end of the day, it is what it is. And I try and be honest as I can and say that the last one did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subscribers on DAZN. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pay-per-view buys on Sky, and the broadcasters want to see it. Here we got 3 World Championship fights, brilliant card. Andrade against Keeler, Tevin Farmer against Jojo Diaz, Danny Roman against Akhmadaliev, and this is sprinkled in the middle. So I think last time, with it being main event, a lot of people were like, but it is what it is. Ultimately, we have to not do what our broadcasters say, but obviously a lot of what we do is based upon what they want. They're paying the money, and right now they want a little bit of this.
It's a huge card. There's amazing talent on it. But talk to me why Farmer versus Diaz is like the third fight. That could be a main event in Philly with a good undercard. Why is this on here?
You can break it down, and you could argue it on so many levels. Demetrius Andrade is a bigger name than Tevin Farmer, so he's main event. But Tevin Farmer, Jojo Diaz is probably a closer fight than Andrade against Keeler. And then you've got the YouTubers who are going, I should be main event. We're going to drive all the subscribers. You can't win. Do you know what I mean? By the way, Danny Roman against Akhmadaliev is just a brilliant fight as well. So it's just a great card from top to bottom. I kept saying up there, this is definitely the fight card of 2020 and realised it's just January. But it is definitely the fight card of 2020.
100%. Let's move on. Talk about numbers and whatnot. Daniel Dubois versus Joe-Joyce looks like it's going to be made very soon. There's talks of it being on pay-per-view. Do you think it should be on pay-per-view? A lot of fans have come out and thought, that fight shouldn't. What do you think?
All I know is when I make a pay-per-view fight, and I've made them a lot better than that, and a lot of cards better than that, I've got so much stick. So it's a British title fight that's been ordered by the board. It is a good fight. It's an interesting fight. I think the problem with that fight is they're just not, they're not
personalities?
Yeah, but they're just, and people will say, who cares about a person? I'm just saying, like, from a pay-per-view event, it's a good British title fight, but with 2 guys that don't really talk and don't really engage. We made a British title fight on pay-per-view once. It was Anthony Joshua against Dillian White, but Joshua's profile is bigger than Dubois, or was bigger than Dubois and Joyce times 20 at this stage, and he was fighting a guy that basically they wanted to kill each other, and they had beef. It was North London, South London, the amateur background, and that did well. Yeah. Well, I do think Joyce Dubois is a good fight. It's a risky fight. I'm quite surprised that Dubois has taken that fight. Joe Joyce hasn't really got anything to lose. He's 34, but he needs to do something spectacular. I mean, they've done him dirty because he ain't boxed since July. He should be active. But Dubois, if Dubois loses, like the dream, if you like, that is done. So you have to respect both guys for taking the fight. And
do you think Joe should have taken there's a European title obviously ordered as well?
Yeah, he should have. Well, we want to make the Joe Joyce against Hrgovic fight. But why would you fight Hrgovic when you can fight Dubois? I mean, they're both 2 good young fighters, but he's going to make more money for fighting Dubois. Yep. And Hrgovic is probably more seasoned as a pro. They're both very dangerous fights. Dubois is very good. So Joyce is good, but he just doesn't. He's a lot better than he looks. Do you know what I mean? But I was surprised that Dubois took it because I thing is with Dubois is he needs to be built. No one knows who he is, and he can fight, you know. But maybe this is the fight where he breaks out. It's just quite risky. If it goes past 4 or 5 rounds, it could be quite interesting.
Now, Anthony Joshua, obviously December, got his titles back. You were looking to put him out in March, April, I think you said, at Wembley.
Yeah, end of May, early June. Okay.
Pulev still?
Yeah, Pulev almost certainly will be next. We're finalising the negotiations on that at the moment. London. I mean, that's what we want. You know,
is it in Tottenham Stadium?
Tottenham's is one of the choices. Emirates is another. What are you?
Chelsea.
Who? Chelsea. They haven't
put it at the bridge.
Haven't come through yet. Pulev would rather the fight abroad because there's more money in that. But Joshua's boxed in New York and Saudi Arabia, and he wants to fight in London. So that's what we're trying to do. What's
going to happen? Obviously, not looking past the Pulev fight, we've learned that. But what can happen at the end of the year? Because it looks like Wilder and Fury are tied in to another fight after the rematch.
Depends. I mean, it all depends on how much money's in the third fight. If that fight's not great, or if it's conclusive, the whole world is going to be demanding Joshua against the winner. Yeah. If not, we fight Usyk, and you know, if we are able to make that fight, we'll be pushing hard to do it.
Dillian Whyte, in fact, no, I was just thinking, that Usyk versus Chisora fight, I've heard you say that's almost done. Yeah. Would that be for the WBO? Will Joshua drop the WBO?
No.
Will that just be like an eliminator?
Yeah, I mean, effectively, Usyk's the mandatory. Yeah. So if Chisora was to beat him, he would be the mandatory. But that fight is virtually agreed now, and we'll be making an announcement soon. End of March, early April, something like that.
And lastly, Dillian Whyte, where is he at? What's next for him?
So I think he'll fight Povetkin next. We may even do that in New York.
Main event?
Yeah. Just thinking about it, you know, I think it'd be good for him to get the exposure over there. Obviously, he was trying to make some noise. Andy Ruiz is still in play. But sort of those 3 heavyweight fights, we're just trying to make sure there's like a month in between them. Do you know what I mean? So
what's the likelihood he'd face Andy Ruiz to Povetkin? What's like the ratio?
I think Povetkin's a big favourite at the moment because Dillian really wants to fight in April, early May, and I think Ruiz, you'll probably see him back in June, but we're pushing both.
All right, cool. When's the party tomorrow?
It's after the weigh-in, wherever that is. You must have the info.
Definitely, I'll find it.
So good luck.
All right, cheers. I appreciate it.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this icon right here, or else